What's up, everybody? Bill Tundo here, and I'm here to give you the beatdown on Legend of Zelda Windwaker. Now, before I get started on Windwaker, let me give a shout out to my buddy Ray, who owns NOLA Coast Clothing. Been friends with this guy for a long time. We both lived in New Orleans for a long time. Born and raised in the area. If you're interested, look him up on Instagram under NOLA Coast, NOLACOAST. He doesn't charge a lot, and he's got great designs. Obviously, I had to go with the black and gold, which is Saints colors, but I mean, you can see it's an awesome looking shirt. Anyway, let's get into the game. So, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Let me start off by saying, much like I did with Majora's Mask, I was wrong about this game. I was very wrong about this game. For a long time, I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to play it. I was very turned off by the cel-shaded art style. I was not a big fan of it. I thought it looked too cartoony, too childish. And I was very convinced that this was a game for children and not in league with other Legend of Zelda games. I was wrong about that. The art style has aged extremely well. It looks as great today as it did, 15 years ago when it came out. Obviously, I played on the GameCube. I try to play everything on the system it was designed for. That's a personal preference, but, designers built the game to work on a system, and I like to give them the respect when I can of playing that. And I love the GameCube. Nintendo's first truly portable home console. It's a great system. Anyway, Wind Waker. So the art style was fantastic. I didn't like it before I started the game, and in the last couple years, I've been looking forward to playing the game, and I finally found it at a reasonable price a couple months ago, so I scooped it up. I really did enjoy the art style. I did play Twilight Princess before this one, and Twilight Princess, the art style is dark, gritty, realistic. I like that art style too, but at the same time, this cel-shaded art style was neat. It was fun to see from Link and Zelda and Ganon in more of a cartoony form. It lended a lot to keep your interest. What are the Gibdos going to look like? What are the Redeads going to look like? You've gotten very used to them, all the monsters and characters looking a certain way, and then they really mix that up with this new art style, which, like I said, I very much enjoyed it given time. Now, as far as the gameplay goes, I very much enjoyed the gameplay. I was a little irritated at first when you start the game with no sword and you can't immediately get a sword like you could in the original Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time, or very shortly into Twilight Princess you get a sword. In Majora's Mask you start with the sword, and you have to tackle the first dungeon of the Forbidden Fortress with no weapon. You are able to steal weapons from the Macablins, but you can only use that weapon in that specific area. When you leave that area, you leave the weapon behind. You can't take it with you. That was very frustrating for me, because one of my favorite parts of the Zelda games is learning the sword techniques and using them properly. And even though I don't really like hack and slash games, I like the hack and slash aspect of Legend of Zelda when you're completely surrounded by enemies. Speaking of which, there was a great addition to this game with the Savage Labyrinth. It's a 15-level dungeon where basically every floor they just pile more and more enemies onto you, and every 10th floor is a respite, and you get some money, you get some energy, you get some more arrows, stuff like that, and you just continue on. You need it to get a Triforce chart. You have to beat the first 30 levels. It's not optional. The second 20 after that, to make up a total of 50 floors, much more difficult, optional. especially if you're collecting heart pieces. Now, I admit I did not 100% this game. There were a couple side quests that I just wasn't interested in. Pretty much anything involved in the picture box, taking pictures, I just kind of skipped. I believe I had 17 hearts instead of the full 20 when I fought Ganon. Wasn't really necessary. I had 4 bottles and probably only used 1 fairy, if that. I don't even think I used that fighting Ganon. None of the bosses in this game are very hard. Once you see exactly what it is they're going to do and how to battle them, they're pretty easy to take down, but that doesn't make it less fun. There's one boss that hangs from vines from the ceiling, and you have to use your boomerang to chop down like a dozen vines, and then when it hits the ground, you run over and you hit it with your sword. Well, it's more tedious than it is difficult, but there's a lot of fun in that because it's trying to attack you at the same time, so you're running in circles and trying to be out of harm's way while you still line up your boomerang. There's a lot of that type of stuff when you fight the dungeon bosses. One of them was in the Earth Temple and the Sandworm. That was probably the most difficult boss, and again, not difficult, just tedious, just working the system. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this game. I had quite a bit of fun with this game. My son, Lucas, who I like to refer to as the Legend of Zelda lore master, is always around to help me out. What happens is I'll get, not stuck, but I'll get a little laggy on trying to figure out something that I'm supposed to be doing, or, I'm looking for a certain weapon, or I'm looking, or just for information, and I'm, hey, Lucas, when do I get the hook shot in this game? And Lucas will tell you very quickly exactly where it's located in the game, even though he's never played it. When it comes to Legend of Zelda lore, my son far surpasses me. As far as actual gameplay and beating games, I far surpass him in the Legend of Zelda series, although not all series, but definitely Legend of Zelda. But when I ask him, he knows where every item is. He knows techniques to defeat every boss, and all you have to do is ask him. The kid's like a walking Google page on just Zelda, like the Zeldapedia. He's fantastic to have around when you're playing a Legend of Zelda game. There are a couple twists in the game that I'm not going to give away plot-wise. Plot-wise, it's one of my favorite Zelda games. It has a solid plot, and it has a couple twists in the plot to keep you interested, and the game is always fun. At first, I hated the boat. I hated the boat at first. I'm like, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to, complete this game because I have to sail everywhere. And, my son tells me that in the Wii U version, you can get the quick sail to where you cut your sailing time in half. But I found the sailing very relaxing, and it was great for exploring. The seas of Hyrule are so vast, and there's so much stuff in the seas, whether it's platforms where mokoblins are with treasure chests, or there's glowing rings that you can use your grappling hook to fish for treasure chests under the water. There's plenty of challenges, giant octopus, shark. There's all kinds of stuff, and the sea ended up being a great substitute for traveling places like Hyrule Field and stuff like that. You don't run into a monster a minute on the sea, but you can run into a creature at any time, and there are many challenges on the sea that keeps it very tight and interesting. Yeah, obviously, you have the Windwaker, which is the name of his wand, and you play certain musical melodies. That's the instrument for this game. Most Legend of Zelda games have instruments, whether it be an ocarina, or in Majora's Mask, you can play the drums or the guitar or the horns or whatever. Every Zelda game just about has a instrument, and in this one, it happened to be a conductor's baton called the Windwaker, where you can take command of certain other people's bodies for some dungeons, or you could control what direction the wind is blowing, and later on you can use it to warp from place to place while in your boat. Um, it's a cool addition. I always enjoy whatever musical instrument they put in. The only one I did not enjoy was Twilight Princess, the Twilight Howl, or whatever you have to do as the wolf. Screw that. Hated it. Um, but, overall, I thought this was a fantastic game. I very much enjoyed it. Will I play it again? Yes. One day I will 100% this game. I'm going to be looking for something to play, and I'm going to be like, you know what? There's a lot of stuff that I left undone in that game, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it. I would give this game a solid 7 out of 10. It is now officially my 4th favorite Legend of Zelda game. Yeah, definitely pick it up and try it. I mean, if you don't have a GameCube, that's fine. Get it on Wii U. They have an HD version. It looks even better. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I'm out of here. Thanks, y'all.